Hello everyone, how are you? Today's October 30th, which means the ghosts and ghouls are out, so what better time to do a game on Spooky Anna than right now? So this was a VOD sent in by a player named Pimiko. To have a chance for me to review your gameplay, send me your footage at skylineow@gmail.com, preferably either by direct download or YouTube, because the issue with Twitch is that we get this user interface and it's difficult to download Twitch videos, but it's no problem. We're fine. Let's get right into it. So our hero Pimiko, has a couple questions, mostly dealing with decision making and positioning and just being overwhelmed a lot in fights. And that's something that's very easy to happen in Overwatch. And people have sort of the StarCraft mentality where you have to just pay attention to all this stuff, have that high APM, high brain activity going on, and just be looking around all the time and like a robot or something like that. And this was an example right here you just saw. I'm going to get back to this. But you need to focus. We went over this a little bit in the Reinhardt video. You just need to focus, have good positions that let you only take in a few things at a time, so you don't need to be paying attention to a ton of different things. A secret that a lot of the pros use when they play isn't that they necessarily have super brains that they can think of 5,000 things at the same time. It's just they're very focused, and they know what to focus on at each particular time, so they're only ever thinking about one or two things. So, like I said, there was an example right there that I wanted to point out, and let's go back to it. Now, this has a lot to do with positioning, because where you're positioned, where your camera's looking, is what you're looking at, and what you're looking at is generally what you're going to have available to you to focus on most of the time. So let's look at this image. We did this big wide peak here. So now we see this. No one's up there right now, but there could be someone up here. There could be someone over here, even down these steps, or even, I guess, up here. Basically, there's all this area that people could be in this case because we did this huge wide peak. And I'll show it to you just one more time. There we go, and the big peak. And so in this position, it's easy to get overwhelmed with, I have to worry about looking over here to heal my teammates, looking over there at where the enemy is, making sure I'm not going to get sniped by a Widow or a McCree or something that's up there. And just all this stuff. It's easy to get overwhelmed. Now, this is something that's very important, and it's something that you're not going to see very much in pro matches because the way that the spectator cam works, usually they pan to the action shots of people jumping around and doing all this stuff, and plus a lot of pros are really just not that great at this yet. I know it's shocking, right? But the game's only been out for a few months, and a lot of people have different strengths and weaknesses, and pros tend to be better at the shooty strengths at this point of the game. Plus, we're seeing a lot of rush tactics where we have the Lucio speed boost and everyone just jumps in and kills everybody and complete rush in. Solo queue is a much slower paced sort of environment. So the practice I'm about to outline is even more important here than the current Lucio speed boost in, Anna speed boost in, go womp everybody with 3 tanks type of meta. Now, this is the same position that our hero peaked from earlier. And if you remember correctly, he did something like this. And we already discussed before how this presents to you a whole array of stuff that you're suddenly doing. Now, you can go a little bit slower, and this is only like 1 or 2 seconds slower, which can feel very painful in a game like this, especially if you're not used to it. But it's just a simple matter of when you're coming out here. So right now you have 0 things to really worry about, right? And we want to make sure that as we come out around the corner, we want to limit ourselves to only having 1 or 2 things to really care about at a time, and we want them very clearly in the center of our attention. So as you come out here, there are a few points of interest. The first one is here. So you just, instead of doing the wide peak, you just do a quick this thing. You don't even have to use the scope, just look, all right? And we went over this a little bit in our crosshair placement guide, but this takes it sort of to the next step. So right now, when you're in this position, you only have one thing to worry about, and that's this. All you need to do is look here. For enemies there, plus your allies will also be in this general area as well. So you don't have much camera movement that you need to do. If you want to heal your allies, you're probably within this range. And if you want to shoot the enemy, you're also within this range. So this is good. This is simple, and it's easy to digest. Now, in Pimiko's case, there wasn't anyone here, and his team was progressing further on. So let's do that. Let's continue. Now, again, usually there's no one there, but just quickly glance at it. And he went up. The problem with going up is you now expose yourself to the bottom there and there at the same time. Instead, you want to just go across like this. So now you remember the enemies were here. If we look at the video again, here's a refresher of where they are. He got shot at, taken quite low actually. If we look, he got 100 health chunked off of him. But you can see if we do it like this, where if we look there, we're fine. And now we come and we look here, he would have easily, the only possible place that there could possibly be an enemy is right here, because we know that there's no one over here, there's no one over here. So he can just focus in, zoom in, literally and metaphorically in his mind, zoom in on this area. And he would easily be able to see the Zenyatta and not have to panic and be like, come out here and, oh, look. He could just easily come over here, click the button, plus all of his teammates are pushing out and they'll be in front of him as well. So again, you want as little camera movement as possible. He just has to keep his camera within this range because all of his teammates are here and the enemies are here as well. This will give you a very clear picture of what you need to do. So in this case, you're not making your brain any faster, you're not improving your skills or doing anything like that, you're simply making it easier for yourself. And then in this case, if we continue the example onward, when your team jumps down, you can come over here, and again, well, you know that no one's up there anymore, you know that no one's over here because presumably you have cleared them out already up there. And now you can just look at that area, plus your teammates are going to be here. So again, very limited range of camera movement required. If we go back to the VOD, we see that, again, this angle is just huge. I would be confused as well. Do I shoot this guy? Do I shoot, there was a Zenyatta there or something? I have an ally here who could potentially use healing. Later on, you're going to see a Mei actually comes from these back stairs as well. And you can see that in his play. All right, so we're just going to look at that one more time, and then we're going to jump down, and once again, we have lots of things we have to pay attention to. It's kind of crazy. Also, remember, there's going to be a Mei coming from behind pretty soon, and there was also, actually, there's a Reinhardt behind as well. Who would have thought of that? And we see his aim's pretty good, so this is all good stuff. And now the Mei comes down, and we actually wind up taking the point. So our team does wind up winning, but you could see how hectic and frantic and stressful that was. So now they're trying to push the second point. Remember, they do have the advantage. However, his team does do some weird stuff. There's a Roadhog on the other side that gets picked off. His Reinhardt does some crazy stuff, so I don't think he was going to win this fight anyway. But that push up the stairs, I bet almost none of you noticed that. You're like, oh, it's just a regular thing. But this is actually an example, if we look back here, of too much movement. Being kind of crazy, getting yourself just too much stuff. And let me show you why. If I sort of mimic our hero's actions as he comes up the stairs, so he comes here, he looks behind for some reason, and then he pushes up, and he's actually he was jumping as well. He pushes up, he looks back at his team, he looks over at the Reinhardt, and he's trying to dodge the Junkrat grenades. Instead, we know that the focus, all of your enemies are going to be here, plus your Reinhardt is going to be here as well. Now, obviously, you can't 100% trust and predict your team to go everywhere, but chances are that's where he's going to be. So instead, just take a position that's safe, relatively, from the Junkrat grenades. Like, I mean, this is not an exact science, but here would be a good example of a position where you can see your friends. Again, this is a little bit of a bigger camera angle that is pretty. This is like the maximum, I would say, is acceptable for a camera spread. But he had teammates over here, and his Reinhardt was over here. So he could easily just look in this direction and not even move. He could just stand here and be fine. Sure, maybe try to dodge the Junkrat grenades a little bit, but if he just stood here, he could clearly see, oh, there's the Reinhardt, and he could see anyone who's trying to push up or anything like that, and he could also just add his teammates. He doesn't need to go all the way up here and create this giant panoramic requirement for looking around. Plus, it's dangerous, and we're going to see that it winds up getting him killed, because he's going to push all the way up here, and now at this point the fight is 100% lost. There's no point in pushing into this further, and he's going to wind up dying and just feeding ultimate. And feeding ultimate is a small thing that can result in giant consequences later on that you'll never be able to really quantify because you won't know exactly whose ult would have and wouldn't have been up with your 200 health worth of charge. So like I said, if he was just standing back here, when he saw that the Reinhardt died, they were pushing up, just very simple, and I'm out. Look at that, no problem, easy. And that's 200 health less that the enemy had to work with as far as charging their ultimate. We're getting to the next push here, and another thing I see a lot of players have a problem with, a lot of players, including professional players, players on very high-level teams that I've coached, I've just had to tell people, stop jumping. Stop it. Like, if you look here, he's there. Okay, so jumping, theoretically, is done to be evasive. Someone's pointing at your head, you predict that they're looking at your head, so you jump to get their aim off. Right now, there's no one shooting at him. And we're hippity-hoppity, and all this is doing is hurting our own, still jumping, it's just hurting our own aim, and it's hurting our concentration as well, because it's hard to focus when your camera is continually going up and down and up and down. And the hopping is a thing where it's not necessarily every fight, but there are many fights where Piminko and just every player in general, lots of players do the hoppy thing way too much when they don't have to. And here's another example of, in this fight, of putting too many things on the screen, too much movement, making it very difficult to concentrate. So we already see that he went all the way in, now all the way back. He got a very nice grenade off, so that's good. That was a very good grenade. But we're going to put ourselves again in a situation where there's lots of things to concentrate on. We're in a strange position. We've completely changed our position from the beginning of the fight, and we're going to wind up dying. Now, again, if this was our starting position, which is it was, Piminko started around this area, we don't need to come up because he walked up, looked, walked back. Too much. That's too hard for me. I'm a lazy guy, to be honest. Like, I'm really lazy. I just like having things easy and simple. So we saw that all the action was happening over there. We had a mercy res and all that nice stuff. So instead of going crazy and being like some superhero Batman guy, all we have to do is just go over here. We're hidden. So now we don't need to worry about this because we're hidden. And remember, this is area specific, but as you play more, you'll just get this natural tendency of knowing where to go in any position, in any situation. You just play lots and lots of games. So we come over here, and now we can see this area just fine, and just stay here, just chill. Just come in this position, look over here, you can heal your teammates. Remember, all the enemies were over here, and all of his teammates were over here as well. So we have this very limited camera angle that we need to be paying attention to. And if we want to, we can come over here, which now blocks this area off. We don't need to pay attention to that anymore. And just look at this narrow camera angle right here. So we're always trying to limit the number of things we're exposed to at any particular time. And with Anna, this is very easy because of her range. So again, this is map specific, but you see how we're just completely shifting ourselves here. We only need to pay attention to here, and now we only need to pay attention here. But this is map specific. So like I said, this is just going to take practice. The more you play these maps and look for these types of things, like instead of just rushing into the center, try to find areas. Even in this case, we could take a closer angle. We don't need to worry about here if we just come up here to this pillar and look. Now we can completely ignore this entire area over here, including to some extent this section as well. And all we have to do is come and look here. So the real takeaway from this one is always try, even if you're in mediocre positions, even if you're in a very bad position, like let's say you're all the way up here, you can still limit your exposure in multiple different ways. If you want to hide yourself from this angle, you just come over here and only look here. Don't look back, just look here, because you don't need to worry about this angle. The enemy needs to walk all the way up into the point to actually see you because you're covered. Or again, if we're in a really bad position, this is literally like the worst position you can be on in this entire area if you're on offense. If you want to hide yourself from this position and only look here, again, just improvise. Come down here. And now, yeah, it's not that great because like I said, this isn't a great position, but now you don't need to pay attention to this. You just need to look here. So next time you're in a game, and this is particularly important on a hero like Anna, specifically because she has to heal her allies and damage her enemies at the same time. Zenyatta's sort of the same way. Pay attention to how much you're moving your camera. You always can know that you're in a bad position if you have to do this, and then that, and then that, and then that. That's a bad position. The mark of a good position is, and this isn't a great position, let's get into the one we had before. A mark of a really good position is one where you're just chilling. This is all you have to do. Just staying right here, and you don't have to move your camera because we don't have to go up there. We don't have to look around. This is all we're focusing on. And then just small movement. Bam, done. Again, just focusing on this area. So anyway, guys, just to wrap it up, this is a good player. He has good mechanics, good aim, as we saw a little bit in the couple clips we saw. He had a good nade we saw. I think that with just proper positioning, proper focus, staying calm is kind of a theme, by the way, if you notice. He could easily, and he said that his goal was to reach Masters, easily reach Masters by the end of the season. Well, not easily. It is hard work, but definitely within his capabilities, and within many of your capabilities as well. And positioning in a way where you can make the full use out of the talents and abilities that you already have. Be lazy, be like me. That's how I play. If you ever look at me play, if I ever wind up streaming or something, you'll see that I'm very lazy. I do very little movement. Yes, that's why I like Anna so much. She's just a really great hero. Where in this case, on this map, I would just be like, bam, done. Like, that's it. I'm just looking. This is all I'm looking at, guys. I'm not. That's it. Or maybe I'm just. So yeah. Anyway, if you want to send in your own VOD, once again, send them into skylineow@gmail.com. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, thanks everyone for just that great discussion a couple days ago when I posted the video on meta-analysis. Whether you agreed or disagreed, a vast majority of you made some great comments both here and on Reddit, so for that, just awesome. Thanks, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments and what you want to see in future videos, like if you liked it, which I hope you did. Hope you got something out of it, maybe learned something, maybe even had a little bit of fun. So stay positive and have a great day. Peace out, guys.